Dear Greg, I've always been pretty close to my older sister, but she gets angry so easily. If I don't agree with her, like when she has an opinion about other people, she gets mad. If I don't do what she wants, she gets mad. I've supported and loved her for many years, but when she treats me like this, my feelings get hurt.
You say you've loved and supported your sister for many years, but let me suggest that that's not quite true. Now, relax, because what you're doing is almost entirely unconscious. I'm sure that a part of you genuinely cares that your sister is happy, which is the definition of real love. But a big part of you has been playing a game with your sister, probably for most of your life. Now, how do I know that? Notice that you said that when she treats you like this, your feelings are hurt. That's because you expected her to behave a certain way toward you in return for what you called the support and love you gave her. But then she did not behave in the way you expected. If you didn't have expectations, your feelings would not have been hurt. And in real love, without conditions, there are no expectations of what people will give you in return. Without realizing it, you have been trading imitation love with your sister. You have agreed to treat her in a certain way, to agree with her, to do things that she likes, to give in to her bossiness, and so on. And in return, you have expected that she would treat you with a certain respect or dignity or kindness or whatever. But she often fails to keep up her end of the deal, doesn't she? Even if you're nice to her, she can be angry. Or on some occasions, you just get tired of the deal. You get tired of having to agree with her all the time. Like you said, if you don't agree with her all the time, or if you don't do what she wants, which is part of the deal, she gets mad. You just haven't realized all these years that agreeing with her and doing what she wants has been part of the contract. But it is. You've been willing to pay the price as long as you get paid by her in return with kindness. But on the occasions when you get tired of paying, you don't like what happens when she no longer pays you, when she's snippy, for example. That's no fun. You're just finally realizing what a drag it is to be in an imitation love relationship. Almost all relationships not founded on real love get to this point. In marriages, the couples quit speaking to each other, or they argue with each other more and more, usually one of those two options. And then eventually they often just give up and divorce. In families, they either fight all the time or they drift farther and farther apart. But almost never do they realize what's happening, so that something can be done to stop the whole awful process. For example, I have a good friend, a man I've known for 20 years. Recently, I discovered that he has a brother, something I'd never known. I asked him where his brother lives, and he said, "Oh, here in town." I asked more questions and learned that his brother lived about a mile away, but he hadn't seen him or spoken to him in like 10 years. I was intrigued, so I asked, "Why?" And he said, "Oh, I don't know. I guess we're just not that close." No, I guess you're not. A mile apart, and you haven't spoken in 10 years? Trading imitation love with people becomes an enormous bother. It becomes disappointing, then irritating, and then eventually we want nothing more to do with it ever again. And it happens in marriages, in families, in businesses, in relationships of all kinds. And we'll talk more about this in our next session.